I was left at the altar. Then, 20 years later, he asked me to save his daughter. I still remember the exact moment my life shattered. The music had just started, strings swelling, soft piano echoing through the chapel. I could feel everyone watching me as I stood at the doors, my father holding my arm like I was something fragile, something worth protecting. I was smiling. God, I was so happy. I had spent 2 years building up to that moment. 2 years of loving Ethan. 2 years of imagining this exact walk, this exact day, this exact life. He was supposed to be standing at the other end, waiting for me. He wasn't. At first, I thought it was a mistake. The music didn't stop, but the priest looked confused. Guests were whispering. My maid of honor shot me this look, this tight, controlled panic. Maybe he's running late, someone said. But I knew. You ever have that moment? When your brain hasn't caught up, but your chest caves in like it already knows the truth. He wasn't late. He wasn't coming. The doors closed quietly, like someone trying to hide a disaster. That's when his brother walked up to me. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He left, he said. He said he couldn't do it. That was it. No note. No call. No explanation. Just couldn't do it. I don't remember crying. Not right away. I remember staring at the aisle, the one I was supposed to walk down, and feeling like my entire future had just disappeared. Do you know how humiliating it is to be left at the altar? To have everyone know? Family, friends, coworkers, people I barely knew, all sitting there, watching my life collapse in real time. I didn't cry until later. Much later. Alone. That was the day something in me broke, and something else quietly started rebuilding. The next few years were ugly.
I won't romanticize it.
I spiraled. Not dramatically, not in a movie-worthy kind of way, but slowly, quietly. I stopped trusting people. I avoided dating. I worked too much. I replayed that day over and over, searching for what I'd done wrong. Because of course I thought it was me. It always is, right? Maybe I was too much. Too emotional. Too intense. Not enough of something else. Therapy helped. Eventually. So did distance. I moved across the country. New city.
New job.
New life where no one knew me as the woman who got left at the altar. And slowly, I healed. Not perfectly. Not completely. But enough. I built a career I was proud of. I made friends who felt like family. I learned how to be alone without feeling lonely. And somewhere along the way, I stopped waiting for an explanation. I stopped needing one. Because the truth is, no explanation would have justified what he did. Ethan didn't just leave me. He humiliated me in the worst possible way. And I learned something important because of that. Someone who can do that to you does not deserve access to your life again. Or, at least, that's what I believed. For 20 years.
I was 43 when I saw him again.
It happened in the most annoyingly normal way. I was at a hospital. Not for me, for my mom. She had a minor surgery scheduled, and I was sitting in the waiting area with a coffee I'd forgotten to drink. I heard his voice before I saw him. It's funny how your body remembers someone before your brain does. I froze. Every part of me went cold, like I'd just stepped back in time. He sounded older, rougher. But it was him. I didn't turn around right away. I didn't want to. I just sat there, staring at this stupid coffee cup, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. Then he said my name. Emma? I looked up, and there he was.
Ethan.
Older, yes. The sharp edges of his youth worn down. His hair shorter, some gray at the temples. But the same eyes. The same man who had stood me up in front of 200 people and never looked back. For a second, we just stared at each other. And then he smiled. Not a wide smile. Not confident. Nervous. Almost disbelieving. Wow, he said. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. My first thought? You didn't deserve to. But what I actually said was, yeah. Funny how that works. Awkward. Controlled. Polite. 20 years, and I still knew how to mask everything. He sat down across from me, without asking. I hated that. You look good, he said. You don't get to say things like that. I replied, sharper than I meant to. He flinched.
Good.
Silence stretched between us after that.
Thick. Heavy.
Finally, I asked the question I thought I'd buried years ago. Why? It came out quieter than I expected. Not angry, just tired.
His jaw tightened.
He looked down at his hands. I was scared, he said. I laughed. Actually laughed. Scared? I repeated. You ruined my life, Ethan. And your explanation is that you were scared. I know it's not enough. No, it's not. I cut him off. It's pathetic. People were starting to glance over. I didn't care. You left me there. In front of everyone. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I do, he said. At least, I do now. Oh, now, I snapped. Convenient. He exhaled, slow and uneven. I've wanted to find you. For years. Don't, I said immediately. Don't make this about some long-lost regret arc. You don't get redemption points for thinking about apologizing. That shut him up. For a moment, I thought that would be it. That I'd stand up, walk away, and finally close that chapter for good. But then he said something that stopped me. I have a daughter. I froze. I don't care, I said automatically, even though something twisted in my chest. She's 19, he continued. Her name's Lily. That shouldn't have mattered. It shouldn't have meant anything to me. But it did. Because I had always wanted kids. We had talked about it back then, names, futures, the whole life we never got to have. Okay, I said carefully. And he swallowed. She's at this hospital. Something in his voice made me pay attention. What's wrong with her? I asked despite myself. He hesitated. And in that hesitation, I felt it. That same sinking feeling I had 20 years ago. She needs a transplant, he said finally. And I'm not a match. I blinked. And his eyes met mine. And everything clicked into place in the most horrible way. Ethan, I said slowly, why are you telling me this? He looked like he was about to shatter. Because, he said, voice breaking, you might be. Update 1. I didn't answer him. I couldn't. I just stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked away without saying another word. I heard him call my name.
Once. Twice.
I didn't turn back. It felt like the only control I had left, and I wasn't about to give him the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. But here I am now, hours later, sitting on my couch, and I can't breathe right. Because what kind of situation is that? What kind of sick twist of fate puts me in a position where the man who destroyed my life is asking me to save his daughters? I keep replaying his face. Not the young version of him, the one I fell in love with. The man I saw today. Desperate. Broken. Genuine. And I hate that word. I hate that I even thought it. Because what if he was genuine? What if he's telling the truth? What if there's a 19-year-old girl in that hospital who has nothing to do with what he did to me, and she dies because I said no? But then there's this other voice in my head. The one that remembers standing in that dress. The whispers. The pity. The humiliation. The years it took me to rebuild. Why should I help him? Why should I give anything to the man who gave me nothing when it mattered most? And here's the worst part. If I were anyone else, if this were a stranger asking, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd get tested. I'd help. But it's not a stranger. It's him. And suddenly it feels complicated. Twisted. Personal. I don't know what to do. Update 2. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. I really did. But this morning, I went back to the hospital. And I hate myself for it. I didn't go to see him. I went to see her. Lily. I told the front desk I was a family friend. I don't even know why. Maybe because I didn't know how to explain who I really was. They let me in. And there she was. A kid. That's what hit me first. She's 19, sure, but she looked small.
Pale.
Hooked up to monitors that beeped softly in the background. She was scrolling on her phone when I walked in. She looked up and smiled. Smiled. Hi, she said like this was normal. Like she wasn't sitting in a hospital bed waiting for a transplant. Hi, I said back. My voice felt tight. I'm Emma. I don't know why I told her my real name. Her eyes lit up. Oh, she said. I think I've heard that name before. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I asked carefully. She tilted her head, thinking. My dad, he doesn't talk about his past much, she said. But I heard him say your name once. A long time ago. He sounded sad. Of course he did. Yeah, I said quietly. That sounds like him. She laughed a little. He's kind of a mess sometimes, she admitted. I almost smiled.
We talked for a while.
About nothing important.
School.
Music. The kind of normal, boring stuff that felt surreal in that setting. And then she said something that completely broke me. I'm not scared of dying, she said casually. I froze. What? I asked. She shrugged. I mean, it would suck, she added quickly. But I feel worse for my dad. My chest tightened. Why? Because he already looks like he's lost everything once, she said. I don't think he could handle losing me too. I couldn't speak. I literally could not find words. Because how do you sit there, knowing that you're part of that everything he lost, and also the reason she might live?
She doesn't know.
She has no idea what he did to me. And somehow she still cares about him. Still loves him. That says something, doesn't it?
I left not long after that.
I couldn't stay. But before I walked out, she said, It was really nice meeting you, Emma. I hope I see you again. And I nodded like I wasn't falling apart inside. So now I'm here, back on my couch. Same place as yesterday. But everything feels different. Because now she's not just some abstract daughter. She's Lily. She's kind. And funny. And undeserving of any of this. And I don't know if I can live with myself if I don't at least try. But if I do this, if I step into their lives again, what does that make me? I feel like no matter what I choose, I lose. Update 3. I didn't expect it to follow me home. Not like this. I thought once I got out of that hospital, once I put literal distance between me and Ethan and his impossible request, I'd feel something close to relief.
Closure, maybe.
Or at least indifference. But instead, it's like I brought the whole situation back with me, and now it's sitting in my apartment, staring at me from every corner. I haven't turned on the TV. I haven't checked my phone. I've just been pacing, back and forth. Kitchen to living room to front door. Over and over like I'm trying to outrun a decision I don't want to make. Because it's not just a decision, is it? It's a collision. My past crashing straight into my present. And for 20 years, I worked so hard to keep those two things separate.
I keep thinking about what he said.
You might be a match. Not you are. Not we tested already. Just might. Which means I could go through all of this, every test, every appointment, every memory dragged back to the surface, and it might not even matter. I could put myself through that for nothing. And part of me clings to that. Because if I don't get tested, if I don't step in at all, I don't have to find out. I don't have to reopen anything. I don't have to look him in the eyes again and feel like I'm 23, standing in a white dress, waiting for a man who never shows up. But then there's the other part. The part that won't shut up. What if you don't do it and she dies? That thought is louder than everything else. It's relentless. And I hate it because it's not fair. None of this is fair. I made the mistake of calling my mom. She's fine, by the way. Surgery went well. She's recovering. That should have been the only thing I was focused on. But instead, I found myself saying his name. I saw Ethan today. Silence. Not surprise. Not confusion. Just silence. She remembers. Of course she does. Everyone who was there that day remembers. He asked me for something, I added. Her voice was careful when she finally spoke. What kind of something? I sat down on the edge of my bed, suddenly exhausted. He has a daughter, I said. She needs a transplant. Another pause. Then, oh. I swallowed. And he thinks I could be a match. There it was. Out in the open.
Real.
My mom exhaled slowly. I could almost picture her pressing her fingers to her forehead the way she does when she's processing something big.
That's a lot, she said.
Yeah, I whispered. That's one way to put it. Landon, she started, then stopped herself. Emma, she corrected quickly. Funny. I hadn't heard that name spoken with that kind of weight in years. What are you thinking? She asked. I laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. I think I want to say no, I admitted. And as soon as I said it, something inside me twisted. Not regret exactly, but discomfort. Okay, she said gently. Then say no. I closed my eyes. I also think that if I say no, I'm going to think about it for the rest of my life. That was the part one hadn't said out loud yet. The part that actually scared me. Because I know myself. I know how my brain works. How it latches onto things, replays them, digs into every what if until there's nothing left but guilt and second-guessing. If that girl dies, I will wonder. Forever. Another long pause. And then my mom said something I didn't expect. This isn't about him. I frowned. It feels like it is. I know, she said softly. But it isn't.
Not really.
I didn't respond. 20 years ago, she continued, he made a decision that defined who he was back then. And you made the choice to rebuild your life without him. Yeah, I said quietly. You don't owe him anything, she went on. Not forgiveness. Not kindness. Not closure. That part felt good to hear. Grounding. But then she added, but this girl, she's not him. And there it was. That line. The one I can't escape. After I got off the phone, I did something I haven't done in years. I opened a box in my closet. I almost wish I hadn't. It's the one I promised myself I'd never go through again. The one filled with pieces of a life I thought I'd have. Photos. Tickets. Random little things that meant everything at the time. And, at the bottom, the wedding invitation. Cream-colored. Elegant. My name next to his. I stared at it for a long time. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel just anger. I felt grief. Not for him, but for the version of me who believed in that future so completely. Who trusted someone enough to walk toward them without doubt. I don't recognize that person anymore. And maybe that's why this is so hard. Because saying yes, stepping into his world again, it risks pulling me back toward that version of myself. The one who got hurt. The one who didn't know how to protect herself. But saying no, that feels like shutting the door on someone else entirely. Someone innocent. I didn't realize how late it had gotten until my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. I should have. But something told me not to. So I answered. Hello. There was a pause. Then a voice.
Soft.
Nervous. Hi, is this Emma? My stomach dropped. Yes, I said slowly. It's Lily. Everything in me went still. I'm really sorry to call you, she rushed on. I got your number from my dad's phone, and I know that's probably weird, but it's okay. I interrupted gently, even though nothing about this felt okay. What's going on? She hesitated, and when she spoke again, her voice was smaller. I wanted to ask you something. I stood up without realizing it. What is it? Another pause. Like she was trying to find the right words. Did my dad hurt you? The question hit me like a punch. I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. Because, she continued softly, he looks at you like he already knows the answer. I closed my eyes. What am I supposed to say to that? Yes?
No?
Something in between? She deserves honesty. But does she deserve that truth? I just want to understand, she added. Why this feels so complicated. I sank down into the nearest chair, my grip tightening on the phone. Because she's right. It is complicated. More than she knows. More than she should ever have to know. And yet, I don't think this is a conversation we should have over the phone, I said finally. A small breath of relief on the other end. Would you come back? She asked. And just like that, I'm being pulled in again. Not by him this time. By her. And that somehow makes it harder to say no. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do know one thing. Walking away once was easy compared to this. Because this time, there's more than just my own heart on the line. Final update. I made my choice, and it changed more than just one life. I went back. I think I knew I would the moment Lily said my name, like it actually meant something to her. Not like a ghost of a past she didn't understand, but like I was real. Like I mattered. And maybe that's what undid me more than anything else. When I walked into her hospital room again, She smiled the same way she had the first time, like she hadn't spent the night wondering if her future depended on a stranger. "Hey," she said softly.
Hey, I replied.
I didn't sit right away. I just stood there for a second, looking at her, really looking this time. 19. That's how old I was when I first fell in love. When everything still felt certain. When I believed people stayed. And suddenly, it didn't feel like I was looking at Ethan's daughter. It felt like I was looking at a version of life that hadn't gone wrong yet. "Did you think about what I asked?" she said gently. Straight to the point.
Brave.
I nodded. I did. She studied my face, like she already knew it wasn't a simple answer. "It's complicated," I added. She gave a small, understanding shrug. "Yeah, I figured." I exhaled slowly and finally sat down. "I'm going to get tested," I said. The words felt heavy but also strangely steady, like something in me had already made the decision long before I said it out loud. Her eyes widened slightly. "Really?" "Yes," I said. "But I need you to understand something." She leaned forward just a little. "This isn't about your dad," I told her. "It never will be." She didn't look offended, just thoughtful. "Okay," she said. "I'm doing this," I continued, "because you deserve a chance. That's it. No strings. No expectations." Her expression softened in a way that almost broke me. "That's more than enough," she said quietly. I didn't see Ethan until later. I almost managed to avoid him entirely. Almost. He was standing in the hallway when I stepped out of Lily's room, like he'd been waiting, but not daring to come in. When his eyes met mine, I saw it immediately.
Hope. Fear.
And something that looked a lot like regret. "I'm getting tested," I said before he could speak. His entire face changed, like something clenched inside him finally let go. "Emma," he started, his voice already shaking. Don't. I cut him off gently, but firmly.
He stopped.
"You don't get to turn this into something it's not," I said. "I'm not doing this for you." "I know," he said quickly. "I know that. Thank you. I don't have the right words, but..." "That's because there aren't any," I replied. That landed. But I didn't say it to be cruel. Just honest. There was nothing he could say that would fix the past. And for the first time, I realized something else too. I didn't need him to. The testing process took time. More time than I expected. Days blurred together into appointments, blood draws, waiting rooms that all smelled the same. And somewhere along the way, something shifted. Not dramatically. Not in a big, cinematic way. Just quietly. I started talking to Lily more. Then laughing with her. Then caring. And that scared me. Because caring meant risk. It meant this situation wasn't theoretical anymore. It meant that if I wasn't a match, it would hurt.
More than I wanted it to.
The call came on a Thursday morning. I remember because I had just poured my coffee and hadn't even taken a sip yet. "Emma," the coordinator said. My heart immediately started racing. "Yes, we have your results." Silence stretched for half a second, and somehow it felt endless. "You're a match." I sat down so fast I nearly dropped the phone. A match. Out of all the possibilities, I was a match. "Okay," I said, even though my voice barely sounded like mine. "Okay." They started explaining next steps, more tests, scheduling, risks, but it all kind of blurred together. Because my brain was stuck on one thing. I could save her. Not maybe. Not possibly. Actually. Telling Lily was the easiest and hardest thing I've ever done.
She cried.
Not quiet tears either. Full, overwhelming relief. And then, without asking, she hugged me. I froze for half a second. Then, I hugged her back. And something in me cracked open in a way I didn't expect. Not pain. Something warmer than that. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. The surgery itself was scary. I won't lie about that. There's a moment, right before they put you under, where everything feels very real. Very final. And for a split second I thought, how did I get here? From standing alone at an altar to lying in a hospital bed, about to give a piece of myself to someone else's future. Life is strange like that. When I woke up, the first thing I felt was relief. The second thing was pain. The third was someone holding my hand. I turned my head slightly. It was Lily.
Pale. Tired.
But awake. Hey, she whispered. Hey, I managed. You did it, she said, her voice breaking. I smiled faintly. So did you. She shook her head.
No.
You gave me my chance. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just squeezed her hand. Ethan came in later. Slower. Careful. Like he still wasn't sure he was allowed in the same space as me. Hi, he said quietly. Hi. We looked at each other for a long moment. And then he did something I never expected. He didn't try to explain. He didn't try to fix anything. He just said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life being grateful for what you did. And for the first time in 20 years, that felt enough. Not forgiveness. Not closure in some perfect, tied-up way. But peace. Or, at least the beginning of it. It's been a few months now. Lily's recovering well. Strong.
Stubborn.
Exactly like she should be at 19.
We still talk. More than I ever planned to.
And here's the part one didn't expect. She didn't just get a second chance. Somehow.
So did I.
Not with Ethan. That part of my life is exactly where it belongs, in the past. But with myself. With the part of me that believed in something bigger than pain. In choosing kindness, even when it wasn't deserved. In proving that what happened to me didn't have to define what I became. I used to think being left at that altar was the moment that defined my life. Maybe it was. But not in the way I thought. Because 20 years later, I didn't become someone bitter. I became someone who could still choose to save a life. And, honestly, that feels like the better ending. Like and subscribe for more heartfelt stories.